Hello and welcome to Moonlit Myths, where I invite you to journey with me through tales of dreams and imagination. I am here to help you unwind, relax, and drift off into a peaceful slumber. Each night, I will bring you a new story to help you escape the stresses of the day and enter a world of pure tranquility. So sit back, get comfortable, and let me guide you to a place of restful sleep. Thank you for joining me, and sweet dreams. It was a warm summer day in the year 1518, in the town of Strasbourg, France. The sun was shining, the birds were singing, and the townsfolk were going about their daily business. But then, something strange began to happen. A woman started to dance uncontrollably in the middle of the street. Her movements were erratic and frenzied, yet she couldn't stop herself. And so, she danced and danced until she collapsed from exhaustion. What happened next would go down in history as one of the most bizarre events of all time. More and more people began to join in the woman's dance, unable to control their own movements. It was as if a strange force had taken hold of them, compelling them to dance until they collapsed from exhaustion. This event became known as the dancing plague, and to this day, it remains one of the greatest mysteries of medical history. But, as incredible as it may seem, there are official records and medical reports that prove this event really happened. So, if you're ready, let's journey back in time and uncover the truth behind the dancing plague of 1518. Once the strange event began, it quickly spread throughout the city. People were dancing, and they couldn't stop. At first, the dancing was seen as a joyful celebration, but soon it became clear that there was something strange going on. The dancers were unable to control themselves, moving wildly and uncontrollably, often for days on end. Doctors were called in to try and understand what was happening, but their efforts were in vain. The dancers seemed to be in a trance-like state, unable to communicate or respond to the outside world. As more and more people began to join in the dance, it became clear that this was not a normal occurrence. Historical documents tell us that this event truly happened. There are official records and medical reports that show that hundreds of people were affected by this strange dancing plague. The reports indicate that it started in Strasbourg, France in 1518 and lasted for several months. Once upon a time, in the sweltering heat of a July day, a woman named Frau Trophia was strolling through the streets of Strasbourg. Suddenly, she began to dance in a strange and frenzied manner, twirling and spinning as if in a trance. At first, people stopped and stared, unsure of what to make of this bizarre sight. But then, to their amazement, others began to join in. As the day wore on, more and more people were caught up in the wild dance, until dozens of men and women were spinning and leaping together in the square. The dance seemed to have a life of its own, and those caught up in it could not stop, even when they collapsed from exhaustion. As the days went on, the dancing continued to spread. People from nearby towns and villages heard about the strange outbreak and came to join in, until the dance became a massive, chaotic event that consumed entire communities. The authorities were baffled by the strange phenomenon and sought to put an end to it. But despite their efforts, the dance continued to spread, moving from town to town and city to city. The medical profession was unable to explain what was happening, and the people were left to struggle with the outbreak on their own. As people saw Frau Trophia dancing uncontrollably, they must have been shocked and confused. Imagine standing in the street, going about your day, and suddenly seeing someone begin to dance wildly with no apparent reason or control. It would have been a bizarre and frightening sight. The dancers themselves must have been even more scared and confused. Some accounts suggest that they were aware of what was happening but unable to stop, while others describe them as being completely out of their minds with no awareness of their actions. Some accounts suggest that they were aware of what was happening but unable to stop, while others, whatever the case, the dancing only continued to spread, and soon dozens of people were caught up in a strange and mysterious plague. As the outbreak grew, it began to affect more and more towns and cities in the region, leaving people baffled and terrified as they watched their friends and loved ones dance themselves to exhaustion and sometimes even death. As the days went by, more and more people were caught up in the dance, and it seemed that nobody could stop it. The dancers moved wildly, their bodies writhing and contorting in ways that seemed impossible. Some danced alone, while others held hands and spun around in circles. The physical and psychological symptoms experienced by the dancers were alarming. They would sweat profusely, their hearts pounding in their chests. Their feet would blister and bleed from hours of dancing, yet they could not stop. They grew more and more exhausted, yet they kept going, as if in a trance. Over time, the symptoms escalated, with some dancers unable to stop dancing for days, or even weeks. They would fall to the ground in exhaustion, only to get up and start dancing again a few moments later. Some dancers would even begin to foam at the mouth or scream uncontrollably, as if possessed by a demonic force. Reports of injury and even death began to spread among the dancers. Some had broken bones or torn ligaments from the constant motion. Others collapsed from exhaustion and never woke up. But still, the dancing continued, fueled by an unexplainable force that seemed to grip the entire region. It must have been terrifying to witness such an event, especially in the 1500s when people had very little knowledge of medical conditions and psychological disorders. The dancers themselves must have been terrified as well, unable to control their own bodies and thoughts. What could have caused such a phenomenon, and how could it be stopped? These were questions that nobody had answers to. As the dancing plague raged on, local authorities and physicians were at a loss for how to explain and treat the bizarre phenomenon. Many theories were proposed, ranging from supernatural causes to more medical explanations. Some believed that the dancers' blood had become overheated, causing them to dance uncontrollably. Others thought it was due to some kind of demonic possession. Regardless of the cause, medical professionals tried various treatments to stop the dancing. Some physicians encouraged the dancers to continue dancing, believing that it would help to release whatever was causing the symptoms. Others attempted to exorcise the dancers through religious ceremonies or by placing them in holy places. Despite these efforts, the dancers continued to suffer, with their symptoms worsening over time. Medical records from the time show that physicians attempted to examine and treat the dancers, but to no avail. Some dancers were even said to have danced until they collapsed from exhaustion or suffered from injuries. In extreme cases, dancers reportedly died from their symptoms. Despite the lack of success in treating the dancing plague, records of medical examinations and treatments continue to exist to this day, providing a glimpse into this mysterious and fascinating event from history. It took some time, but eventually the dancing plague began to subside. People were left exhausted, injured, and traumatized from the strange event that had taken hold of their communities. But as the dancing ceased, the questions began. What had caused this mysterious outbreak? The medical community had proposed various theories at the time, such as hot blood or supernatural forces. Some physicians even tried to exorcise the dancers to rid them of the supposed demons causing their affliction. Today, historians and scientists still debate the cause of the dancing plague. Some theories suggest mass hysteria, while others propose ergot poisoning from contaminated grain. Whatever the cause, it's clear that the event was real and affected many lives. We have historical documents that provide evidence of the outbreak, including official reports and medical records. These documents allow us to piece together what happened during that summer of 1518, one of the greatest mysteries in history. As our story of the dancing plague draws to a close, it's clear that this is one of history's most mysterious events. We've explored how a simple dance turned into a mass outbreak of uncontrollable dancing that spread throughout the region. We've seen how the symptoms escalated over time, leaving some people unable to stop dancing for days or even weeks. We've also learned about the various medical theories proposed to explain the dancing plague, from hot blood to supernatural causes. Despite the many attempts to explain the outbreak, we still don't know exactly what caused it. But one thing is clear, the dancing plague left a lasting impact on the people who lived through it. Many were left exhausted and traumatized by the experience. Today, historians and medical experts continue to debate the cause of the dancing plague, with theories ranging from mass hysteria to ergot poisoning. But one thing is certain, the historical documents that survive provide evidence that this event really happened. As you drift off to sleep, remember that the mystery of the dancing plague lives on, reminding us that there is still so much we don't know about the human mind and body. Let the calming sounds of the night lull you into a peaceful slumber, knowing that tomorrow brings a new day full of possibilities. Good night.